name is Edward Davis. I am the Chief Marketing Officer, the CMO. I might say that a lot of MLM, My Life, My Power, Preparatory Institute Preparatory Academy, which is schools that are separated from West Virginia, Arizona, and West Virginia, which also includes TTA, which is Transformational Technologies Academy, but it also is included with the charity we started in 2010, which is My Life, My Power. Um, so basically, I run all of that. I help on the foundations of Significance Breed Success, which is a podcast that my business partner is operating. His name is Daniel Peter. He's a wrestler for WWE, and basically, I'm the person that is in everything. However, I am on the outsource of everything. And with me doing that, I brought in the aspects I've learned from starting in like many organizations in at Indiana University, my time while Inst in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and my time just going everywhere. I also am the person who is in charge of bringing different celebrities because I've met a plentiful of celebrities in my lifetime that have made some sort of influence in some sort of black community or any community to help those who feel like people feel like find trouble that people that really dismissed because there's a lot of things I've learned doing what I do that most schools in many aspects will put a child into a program or to a database and child they basically have given up on but they won't say they've given up on. So they basically, he said, forget about this child, whatever. But many instances, the reason this child is trouble is not that child's fault.
Hmm.
So because of that, like my company has been on, things like TMZ. We've been on the Dr. Oz show and different things like that, or even our partnership with Mike Tyson and things like that. So that's the one I can say. That's the one
Okay. Yeah.
and so we've done a lot of things, and just and from my profile and my education and things I've done from my time of growing up in Fort Wayne to being in Los Angeles and being the one that travels a lot now, I see a lot of change needed in my personal community, but in the world as
Right. Okay. So that a Midwesterner. You grew up in the Midwest.
for
You
yeah, got my high school education from Northside High School.
okay?
Went to Indiana University for my bachelor's. I have a lot of degrees. I often joke if y'all ever heard that song that Kanye was talking about people collect
Okay.
degrees. That's me. Because I have two ABAs from IU, IU Bloomington,
uh,
three minors, a certificate. I have two masters from Purdue, and I'm getting my doctorate. So basically, and I'm in a lot of different like fraternal organizations
right.
just because like
That
I'm a Sigma. I got a brand and everything, so I love everything that I do, and I crave knowledge. It's one thing I always find, and I tell everybody: try to crave as much knowledge as you can and gather as much as you can, because the more you know, the more you can stop, things from happening again.
man, that is absolutely fascinating. I mean, I asked you for a short intro, and I think that was short for you. That's I think that was short for you because that's the difference from just a normal person to excellence, right? Is that you have a portfolio of so many things and you can just keep going on. Now, to us normal people, we look at that like my intro is like, hi, my name is Wu the Bam, right? And it's over with. But for you, I mean, you go off into tangents and you like have these different fields of knowledge and this experience that you're into. So, I mean, wow.
I
And
find I think like with me, it's like once I'm very passionate about something, it's more intuitive in it because I could have came on here and says, "Hi everybody, my name is Reverend Edward Davis, and I am a CMO of uh, an organization that's worldwide." and
Right.
it's like it doesn't add the substance to it to who I am.
I get the feeling like you sell yourself a lot, right? I mean, like you
Yeah.
are always trying to promote what you do, your brand, your different organizations that you work through. And I like the way that you express it because you're not necessarily laying on the fact that you know celebrities or you've been in contact with this high network and stuff. Like a lot of people are name droppers, and I can appreciate a man who is standing on his own, and sure, you threw out some good names like Mike Tyson, you threw out the WWE, I think, a few organizations like that, but you're not laying on that. So I like the fact that you are branding yourself and you're not assigning yourself to all that.
And the reason I do for those two in particular, the school in Arizona is called Tyson Transmitter Technology. So it's literally named after him. So it's like you can't escape because it's literally named after him. And because of my business partner, who he was like that's one big thing about was him was he wrestled for them and his other accolades. Like it's in all of his profiles. So or three things, and I only said one of them. So yeah, it's just I love what I do and I love that because of who I do know, it allows me to make an impact in certain people's lives because they love certain people, and
Right.
it allows me to reach more people. Because if I said someone, if I said AB to you, it may not mean anything, but AB to a relative of yours might be the biggest person in the world, and they will sit there and listen to the entire thing. You know,
Yeah.
so everybody has their own impact, and I've been blessed enough um to be in the right circles or just be at the right place at the right time. And I always feel that, take every opportunity you can make because you'll be put in certain situations where you can meet the right people to help you get to your dreams.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that so many times that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And your network will get you a lot farther than just your skill set alone. And I think that especially with our new generation, I think that a lot of our youth, they're gonna have to understand that concept, especially since they're so locked into phones and the internet. As I say here, I hold a phone in my hand, right? But they're so they're so locked in to where they're almost losing that social bonding connection. You know what I'm saying? Where they can like go out and get those organic opportunities. So I think that was definitely a good point to hit on. So with the networking, you come from the Midwest. How does one travel from the Midwest and make it all the way to California and reach such high levels of success? I want to know. I'm going to just follow right behind you after you explain this. Okay.
So, and this might seem like a little name droppy, and if it does, I apologize.
Oh,
But
drop it.
when I was at IU, I got my degree in television. Like one of my degrees is in television arts. But while I
Hmm.
was doing that, I was a casting director for reality television. So I did cast some shows that were on major networks, MTV, VH1.
What
So
shows were those? Can you
I did the Mole, I did Kitchen Nightmare, I did Flavor of Love 3, I did Real Tins of Love, I did ANTM. Um, and basically, I wasn't the main person, but you do look me up in some capacities. It does say the mole and Kitchen Nightmares because I did the episode. It was episode 7 or 8 in season one. It was a place in South Bend, Indiana. So I did all that from when I was in college and when I moved to Chicago for a year, so I can save up money to move to LA. And when I did transfer from LA to California, I just happened to be browsing Craigslist looking for work because work had dried up for a second. Because at the time, this is when a contestant on Megan Wants a Millionaire and for the love of money, I think it was named I Love Money,
Okay.
had committed a crime, a serious crime, and everything got slowed down. So I needed to make money. And I happened to meet the person I work with now who was doing an event to help kids with cancer. And basically, for me, I'm so work minded and completionist that as someone who wasn't a high level in this position I was, because I was working for this person, everybody who I was working with was on the same level as me assume that they were all working for me because I was done with my work so quickly that they were coming to me to help them do that stuff, and I helped them get everything done. And then they realized, oh, he's basically the same. He was getting paid the same as much as us, but he's so dedicated to help these children with cancer that we did this, and then I went from there, and and I will say this, I started a YouTube channel. I didn't start it well. I started with the person who did the cancer thing, and we made a lot of money off YouTube, like a
Okay.
lot of money off YouTube, and with the money we made from YouTube, we started the charity, and while we were doing the charity, Texas, like the LA County,
Uh-huh.
basically basically said, "Oh, can you put the program you are doing inside of our schools?" Because we kind of, I jokingly say we cheated because my business partner, and this is goes back to where he's from. He jokingly said, he jokingly, but he said like, if we're being bullied, send me an email, and he said it on TMZ, and it blew up. And then the next day, he was on there again for a second, and then he called me up and was like, "Hey, I know you're really into helping kids
Mhm.
because all my degrees, I have a lot of them, but mainly what I personally wanted to do in my life was to do documentaries, like PBS documentaries or movies, um, to educate children. Like I'm huge. If you see my little tangent earlier about introducing myself, if you
Uh-huh.
ask me about history stuff, you might run out of tape with this podcast. I am I'm so dedicated so much about filling myself with history, past history, current history, and things to change
Okay.
the world. That history stuff is my main passion. But he knows my main thing he was to help children. And then it
Okay.
went into this charity, and then when Miami called, we flew to Miami for 2 years. I flew to Miami for 2 years
Uh-huh.
and started the school. I actually wrote a college course because they were teaching our program to help kids who were being bullied and or kids who were troubled trying to find their way, especially in I hate to say it, like Black community and Black Latina and
Mhm.
community who are in the roughest part of towns, or you know are considered I don't want to say less than, but they put us in a category where it feels that they consider us not as intelligent, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
about like and in some kids, like in some of the kids that we have, like are even like, and I'm gonna use this girl's story as an example. She she got pregnant as a sophomore, and since I'm not saying her name, it's not gonna be out there. She got pregnant as a sophomore, and she ended up being one of our top students. But thinking she was missing school because she couldn't go, and she had triplets as a sophomore. And like, and you've been through high school, can you imagine you having triplets as a sophomore? And basically, they threw her to the side, basically because they didn't think she was going to finish or she wasn't smart enough because of this
Mm.
decision. And that child ended up being one of the smartest kids there was, but they're dismissed. You
Yeah.
know,
But you know what? There's that typical American marketing against black people where it almost seems as though, or minorities, it almost seems like as though uh they want to make us look that way because it's the popular thing to do, to make
no,
African Americans, Latinos, and minorities look less than intelligent. And that's just not true. But the problem that I see with that is that it's art imitating life, right? Our kids are buying into that messaging. I mean, if you look across TV, the black character, especially in high school dramas and things like that, it's rarely a highly intelligent, highly functioning person in that character role. Even in some of the roles in Hollywood that are adults, they don't want to portray us as a higher functioning person. And I have a problem with that. Our kids are buying into that left and right. Great point.
And you want to know what you just like what you just said makes it worse is if it is a person in a movie or a TV show and the black or Latino person that does has some intelligence, the very first thing that some people that match their shade says is that is not believable.
Well, they don't believe it
Yeah.
either.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like they will say tell their child, well, that character is not believable. And it's like you're hurting their progress because you're basically eliminating them from making having them believe into themselves that they can get this like they can pursue all of these things and it's like yes um if you're a certain rate like especially what's going on in the current
Uh-huh.
climate just because you are this or that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you can't achieve all you can achieve. Yes, you are behind many brick walls, but you got to get through those walls. You got to break down those doors.
You know what? We don't. White supremacy runs off that battery. That's the battery for white supremacy is you have to take away, you have to devalue, you have to remove yourself from anything that would make you think that I have some type of advantage or our children have some type of intellectual advantage or some type of athletic advantage. It's always a reason for us to not be who we are supposed to be to them. And that's the fuel that it runs off of. So, like I said, it just sucks to see that a large majority of our children and even our men and women in our society are buying into that, twerk fest at 43 years old, not treating each
Yeah,
other the way we're supposed to. We got so many examples of art imitating life because that's all that's been pressed into our minds since we were children that we are secondhand citizens. I think we really got to do a better job of not letting that into our lives. You know what I'm saying? And pushing past that. But like I mean, with the type of work that you are doing, with the youth, I
let me ask a
mean,
question: are you from Fort Wayne or are you a transplant?
I'm a transplant. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm from the west side of Chicago.
okay. Because I was wondering because like I know when I was younger,
Okay.
um, like I don't know if it's still around, but the Wyatt Center and the Cupertine Center used to have these groups to help uplift like black and brown people
Hmm.
and like I was in a few of those and I seen some great things in them and some uh things that weren't so great in them. And don't get me wrong, like it's people are going to run organization on their feelings, but I
Right.
feel that a lot of those type of organizations that once were there when I was younger were still here around because, and I'm gonna age myself, but
Mm-hmm.
1997 article, it was called Tomorrow's Hope, and it was a part of this group that they had. It was still Cupertine Center that was ran in Fort Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
and it was about like these this group of kids who graduated in organizations, education, whatever, in order to be the most successful people around in their future. And of the seven of us who actually graduated, three of us are doing quite well. And like I applaud all of them when I see them doing what they're doing. And I know one of the other ones who graduated before I did is doing extremely well, doing better than me as far as financially.
Okay.
But but the thing is, all of them leave Fort Wayne. I left Fort Wayne, and I feel that though I visit, um, even myself, I'm not going to even single myself out.
Mm-hmm.
There's more that we can do to get back to our home community because we know the hardships they deal with, you know. And I
Yeah.
feel that it always starts with looking at home because we know what they deal with, and I've seen the trouble even when I go home and visit. Like it's a lot, you know.
Well, unfortunately, just due to a lot of elements of our upbringing, we are still, a lot of our children are just still suffering from those social diseases, that are inherently woven into our generations, right? Our constructs, our
Yeah,
society, and it sucks to see that, and that's why like youth programs are very important. They bridge those gaps for a lot of those kids so that they can make it from point A to wherever they're going to without taking on those secondary injuries, like you said earlier, helping kids to not uh, continuously punish themselves, continuously do things that can take away from their success. That's what I mean by secondary injuries. We've already got hit once with something. Maybe we didn't get the best opportunity to, the best circumstances to grow up, but oftentimes, we will continue down that path of negativity, injuring ourselves along the way and taking away from our success. So the youth programs are super important. I wanted to ask you about just creating a business because we got a lot of people who are going to watch this show, and a lot of us, especially at our age, we have that entrepreneur spirit. We want to get out there and we want to start up a business. We want to be our own bosses. What are some highlights, some points that you can give us and the viewers at home? Like, how can they make that happen? Because you seem to be very, very successful, and we want a piece of that.
I say this: the most important thing is to understand you will not become a millionaire 3 weeks after you start your business. Nothing take like you got to realize that if you're starting a business by yourself and it's just you, it is not going to be a 40 hours a week gig. You know, if you want to make it big, if you're just doing something like a grocery store or whatever on your own thing, that's one thing. But if you're trying to build a plethora of locations, a plethora of things, you have to really break everything down from doing a SWOT analysis, from doing a 3 point plan of what is and what goes where. You have to, I'm sorry to say this, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to go into debt to make money. There's like, and you're gonna have to find people who invest in you. Then you got to be able to, at least market yourself in some manner, because all of that together takes so much time to do. And yes, you will reap the benefits in the long run. Just don't overexert yourself from thinking too big too early. Know what you want to do in the long run. Like, if you want to make $1 trillion, great. I want you to make your money. But think about what you need to do in order to get the network, the networks out there in order to get that trillion. Someone isn't just going to walk up to you unless you know someone just to give you that money, and then you can do it. And again, like in my case, it just happened to be my business partner knew somebody already, but
Right.
they worked on their end to get so many like I worked on my end to meet a lot of people that will be faces. They knew a lot of millionaires from work that they did. So when we came together and started what we did, I knew the people and he knew the money.
Mm-hmm.
So it helped us together. So I always say, like, meet the right people and always remember this: everything you do in this life, from everything you write on social media, everything you do when you're in the company of others, like you could be in a room with other gentlemen I'm speaking to right now and not know that this man probably has like $18,000 he just want to
Right.
give to a startup. But when you're around him cursing up a storm, looking very unprofessional, or making it seem to say, "Oh, I don't know if I can trust this person with my money. If I'm looking at you and I'm looking at how you are carrying yourself amongst regular crowds, and I don't know if I can trust you with my money, I'm not going to give you my money because I don't know if I can trust you with it. Yes, you can probably change my mind at a different date. You can
Okay.
probably influence me to say, okay, you're just being this way amongst a certain crowd, but you carry yourself so professional that I can see myself giving you the money. But
But
you always gotta,
first
yeah,
impressions mean
first
everything.
first impression is everything. No matter where you go. And I understand. I do understand. Like in some circumstances, like if I were to meet you at a friend's house and it's like at a Super Bowl and you're having fun, you're drinking,
Right.
whatever. That is a very informal setting, so it's not going to be so heavy on you. But if
Hmm.
we are at like a gala, whatever, and we're at this gala, and you carry yourself up, like I don't want to say uppity, but you carry yourself and you made it seems like everything you do is better than everybody else,
Okay.
it's really going to have a negative light because if your idea isn't new, it seems like you're insulting everyone else who has done something similar.
So you want to balance out that ego. You don't want to go in there like you are at the top echelon because who would want to give money to you anyway? Who would want to help you out if you have that
Like
type of mindset to begin with? So basically, I think what you're saying is when you are going to the all white event, don't show up with jeans on and something that is not basically dressed for the weather,
I
right?
would
Is that
say,
what you're saying in a nutshell?
basically, I'm saying that every interaction you meet is a smooching event.
Mm,
Like if
okay.
you go to a gala, I keep saying gala because I love like galas are great.
Yeah, you've been to some galas.
If
Yeah,
you
I'm
like,
sure.
and there was a gala that I went to where they were just giving out money for uh for different organizations, and they brought in random speakers to come in, and I know these people were getting upwards of 60K or more at these galas, and when you're there, you're walking up to everybody and you're being very professional. Like, hello, my name is Edward Davis. I am doing a startup. Startup. I'm selling these type of pens.
Okay.
That do this and do that. And I know we're here on this informal setting right now, but I would like to show you more of what we do. We can exchange information. You can give a card. You can have a dot card, and it gives everything.
Okay.
And we can be in contact in a more formal setting. But I would like to talk to you about this. However, I do want to know about more about you. Like, who are you? What do you do? How did you get to where you are? Because you got to remember, most of you meet these galas already have made their 500K threshold or more. They're probably millionaires and you
Okay.
don't know it. Like there is literally a picture out there of me sitting. Me and my friend was on the break of this gala, and we just went to get one of the, like, I forget what to call it when they're rolled up tacos, but they're not. Anyway, we stopped to get one of those, and we were just relaxing there, just eating and just have a little conversation, talking about how great the gala was, and these two people just asked to join us. It didn't dawn on me who they were until we went back into the gala because we got their information and we didn't ask who they were, and we got back to the gala, and then they spoke right after, like it was the second speaker after, and then people were spending money. They were what do they call it when you bid to have a meeting with somebody,
Auction.
auction. They were
Auction.
auctioning off. They were auctioning off meetings with this person, like a lunch with this person, and somebody, like, I think the person who won paid $20,000 just to have lunch with this person, and I got it for free just because I was nice to people around me and I looked like a formal person. And
Mm.
the thing is, I got his information already, so I did end up calling this individual, but it was just like you never know who's looking at you, know who's around you, and like yeah, that was a random situation, but you
Right.
never know that can happen to you. You know?
So a lot of us don't want to like break out of our realness because I've heard the loose term passed around called code switching. If you're familiar with that term,
Yeah,
where you
pretend to be
act
someone else.
different in different environments. And really, I was at a event for young men last week, and that was mentioned by one of the guest speakers there, and he was talking about how to not let those words and terminology, like those negative things, like when people say you're code switching or not being real and stuff like that, don't let those get in the way because you have to change yourself for the environment. Just like he mentioned that when I'm out with my wife, it's a certain way I talk. When I am at a fun event with my kids, it's a certain way I talk. When I'm in a business setting, it's a way that I talk. When I'm talking to my grandmother, it's the way that I talk, and on and on and on. So I think what he was getting at was that we all code switch. And why is it wrong for us? Why do we have to feel like that's such a negative thing to go into a space and use a different tone of voice? I think we need to overcome that. It's blocking, impeding on a lot of our success.
I think so many people feel get into the feeling that, oh, I gotta be real all the time. I can't be out here letting the like, and I'm only using this term as an example, y'all.
I'll let it rip.
I can't let the white man this. I can't let the white effort think this is about me. I gotta say who I am.
Right.
But like and like if they don't want to give me my money, it's racism. I don't want to hear it. But no, you gotta realize like at the end of the day, put it like this, y'all out there, when you are speaking to your child, your baby, like you're saying your goo goo gagas, whatever,
Yes, sir.
you're not gonna walk up to your child and talk to them the same way you're talking to your boys, your friends out there while y'all are drinking and watching the game. Am I correct? You gotta think of it
Correct.
in the same situation. You are every moment in your life, you are garnering to achieve the greatness goal that you want to do. No matter what, you are garnering to get that. And the thing is, yes, you're having fun. You can do this. You can be all you want to be. But you got to remember, if you are trying to get something from somebody,
Right.
you got to meet them on their level.
Yeah.
If they're coming to you, they're going to come to you on your level. You
I
got
mean,
to
think like this. I'm code switching right now, right?
yeah,
I'm talking to you and I value what you have to say. So I'm going to use a different type of dialect that reflects the fact that I am interested in what you are saying. It's something that's meaningful to me. Uh, I don't view that as a negative thing. And I think you mentioned the white man, and I think that's a huge deal. I think we give that way too much energy, right? We give that boogeyman white person who's stopping us from succeeding. We give that way too much energy. And in my opinion, it's a trope. Most times when you get in certain professional settings, you don't only have to worry about a white person, it could be a black person, it could be an Asian person, it could be anybody at that level where you're at that you need to impress, that you need to show your worth with. And I just think we lay on that aspect way too much. We do enough. We can tear each other down enough. We don't need a white boogeyman. We do it enough ourselves.
and I do want to say one big thing.
Please.
I'm not saying that racism, xenophobia, or hate does not exist
Mm-hmm.
because I've experienced it. No man, no, my man right here has experienced it. We like if you are a black brown person, you have experience. You could be a white individual and you experience um someone who is black or brown hating on you, like not liking you because of the color of your skin. And like it goes all around. There's a whole bunch of xenophobia and different types of hate things going on. Everybody has their own personal prejudice.
Mm-hmm. My thing though is, I used to say this a lot to people, is that, clowns need an audience. You know, the more that we offer our energy to that racism, to racism, to all these things, I think it takes away from us sometimes. I think to some degree we need to not pay attention to it so we can focus on positivity, so we can focus on the things that we are doing and not use that as an excuse for the things that we're not getting. Because if it's somebody who white who doesn't want us in a space, we probably won't be in that space. You know, you'll probably gravitate to places where you naturally are wanted, where you naturally are given value. So oftentimes, I don't feel like we have to even focus on those evil minded people who, in rare instances, have the ability to take things from us. Because oftentimes, more racism for me is just some poor, impoverished person who is just yelling out stuff because he's having a bad day. That word doesn't take away from me. The thing that takes away from me is that wicked person who sits in a high position who is plotting on my demise. And that's rare, far, and few in between. And I just want to make that point.
And I'm gonna break something down, like from something I heard from a movie called Holy Man with Eddie Murphy. It's not the best movie, but something
Okay.
he said from something in my brain. So he says in the movie that 75 75 is all you get. You get 75 summers, 75 springs, 75 winters, 75 falls. I guess one left out. Think about all the stuff that how short that is. That is not a lot of time. Don't use that time wasting what you have. Because if you only get to think of it as only 75,
Mm-hmm.
and most of us, if you listen to this podcast or coming up, are already over the age of 37, which means you already are halfway through. Technically, we only the lifespan of some people is only 75. I don't know about your ancestors, whatever.
Right.
Technically, the average lifespan of a person is 75 years old. That's 37 years old. 37 years old is midlife. What have you done with that 37 past, and what are you going to do with that 37 future? Don't
Mm.
waste that 37 future like dwelling too much on your own 37 past. If you dwell too much on that past and you're going to keep putting all that nonsense into your head for your future, that future is still going to be clouded in judgment and you're going to go over all these rocks because you're hindering yourself from saying, okay, I dealt with this nonsense in the past and I can get my future. I understand some of us may have been arrested or some of us may have dealt with
Yeah.
this or that or have past things. Yes, it is harder. I get that. But what you do in order to get to your future, who you talk to in order to get to your future, people you can put yourself in order to evade your past trauma, like your past issues, saying, okay, I'm in a better space now, and this is what I'm doing to be in a better space. You can tell your story like, hey, at one time I committed a crime, I did this or that, whatever. But look what I'm doing now. I'm coming out here to speak to you about, improving yourself so you can be a better person. That is a whole business right there because people are going to want you to come talk to the children or people in general
Right.
because they know if people see, and I hate to say it like this, someone who is down and out or who was down and out but uplifted themselves, it is so motivating. And you could think of it as in business, whatever. If you aren't don't have that past struggle and you go to these galas and you are talking to a prospective donor or partner or someone who can give you a grant, you got to sell your story and uplift them to say, oh my God, I just spoke to this person. I just spoke to this guy and his energy. I'm like, you could see it in his eye how excited he was,
Mm.
how thrilled he was. That little tiny bit, even think of it like this. So let's say me and you go out to eat, and there is a waiter going around to our table or a waiter waitress going to our table, you know, even greeting them like, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you." Whatever. Being nice to them can be seen, whatever, by somebody to say, "Oh, that person is a good person."
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Great point, man. I want to ask because you just mentioned selling your story. And I like, and I don't know how to feel about this, but I hear a lot of us sell our war stories, our upbringing, the negative side of our upbringing, the negative aspects in our community. I see that being sold on the market more than anything when it comes to us. Like instead of talking about the positive things that happen in your life, it's always, you know, I grew up, struggling to eat, and I seen 8 people get shot, and I saw that. Sure, you've seen all that, but in my mind, I always kind of that doesn't make me feel good to listen to hear. When I know like that's not the total story with us. Sometimes I think we sell that a little bit too much. What do you think about that?
I feel that you need to find a good mix. And
Okay.
I say it like that because um if I didn't say this earlier, but I have a brother who passed away when I was 13.
Sorry.
He was murdered by the police. And like it put me in a whole different perspective than the people like some of my cousins or relatives I grew up around. And so I wasn't into a lot of I didn't put myself in certain situations. Yes, it guided me in a different path, but it was the trauma of that woke me up a little bit, you know?
Okay.
So, but thing is, through that, it allowed me to meet certain people. Like, if I, and I hate to say it like this, rest in peace, bro. But if I wasn't, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't end up in this group that was meeting up during lunchtime. And
Hmm.
through that, I met somebody who helped me do this TV show when I was in seventh grade. Then I met somebody. Was that seventh grade? Yeah, that was seventh, eighth grade. I met someone there on I was doing that TV show that let me join their group, which allowed me to learn more about television, which allowed me to yeah. So it's like it was a journey to get there, but it all started because of negative things that happen around
Hmm.
me. So you gotta do a good mixture of the both. Because I love what I do, and I love the fact that I got to meet who I've met. But it's also like if you talk about the good too much, it sounds like you're bragging or boasting.
Ah,
Somebody
okay.
feels like you're better than somebody, and you can do both, you know. But it's always good to like know where the 50% is, you
Okay.
know.
Okay. That makes sense. I just kind of I've recently just I don't know why that's stuck in my brain a little bit sometimes, but it's something to where I almost felt as though it was, using your own victimization to earn a profit. So and it's just certain things like that just kind of stick with me in the wrong way. But I think you explained it, that you have to sell it, it is a part of your history, definitely, but so is your success. So you need to find an even blend between that in order, because it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of us, who didn't have those horrible backgrounds, we still will try to, turn it into something. We'll try to take some tidbit from the negative aspects of Black culture and throw it in there in a mix. And I don't think you need to do that. I think you need to be yourself. I think you need to be true to yourself, regardless. It's too many Black people. It's too many people like us who are trying to portray what we feel is cool rather than who we are, right? It's okay to be a nerdy Black guy from the suburbs. It's okay to be a Black guy who takes care of his family. All these things are okay. We don't have to play what art and what entertainment wants us to portray. I'm from the west side of Chicago, and I make it my duty not to sell myself and tell every wicked story that I had to endure, So I
Mhm.
yeah, just want that to be known.
I understand, and it's like, yeah, you probably you probably experienced more than I experienced. Like every upbringing is different because of location, background, and stuff like that, and family upbringing. But
Hmm.
I always feel like if you should never falsify a story in order to get in certain circles because it hurts you more, and a lot of people try to do that. And
That's code
once,
switching to me.
yeah, and like for example, like I can't say that I've shot at people. I can't say that I've been a participant in certain things because I haven't. I know my story. I know how down and out I was. I didn't grow up the richest person. I
Hmm.
didn't grow up, with everybody putting me in, certain situations. Yes, I believe that I've always had the gift of, like a good gift of gab, in order to know how to speak to people,
Right.
and what I should say to certain people, but I always feel that is because I don't, like, I'm speaking to you now, like, as for this podcast go, and once this
Uh-huh.
camera go off, we might have a different type of language.
Exactly.
But I always feel that when you're talking to someone, like in any manner, you gotta talk to them how you want them to talk to you.
Hmm.
Because like, and people like don't understand this when I say when I'm talking to a child, like because I've never been big, always been told that I speak too white. And like
Me too.
I've done a lot of therapy to speak higher, and I did that because my voice is really really low if I speak
Okay.
regularly, and sometimes you might hear it drop because my voice is way down here, and sometimes it's hard to understand me, and I did that, and I do that. I talk to children the same way that I want them to talk to me. I don't talk down to them. I want them to know that I treat them just I'm gonna treat them like I want them to treat me. I want them to treat me with respect, and I will treat you with respect. And once we come to that level, and we understand we're on the same level, even though they know the whole kid adult dynamic, but they
Yeah.
understand that I want them to know I respect you, young man. You respect me, young man, back as an old man, and we can get to a certain conciseness because
Right.
I'm not gonna say you are dumb, you are stupid, you are a failure. I'm not gonna speak down to you because I don't want you to feel that you are less than. I want you to feel always that you are greater than.
Well, man, let me just say this honestly. You're a cool ass dude,
Thank you.
and you don't have to tell, you don't have to make up stuff, to be who you are. It just kind of flows through you. You're an influential person. I enjoy having this conversation with you. You're magnetic. You have a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure that people out there are going to enjoy this podcast. And you being yourself and actually just stating that it's okay to be you. That's important for us, especially our young men who are so heavily influenced by always trying to be something more than what they are, and oftentimes less than what they are. That's the big deal, is that we have a competition to see who can be the lowest, and that sucks. Who can be the toughest, who can say the worst things, who can do. And it's been like that forever. So, man, kudos to you, man. I'm just very impressed by everything that you are sharing with us today. I actually have a group that I work with out of Chicago, a entrepreneur group with a lot of Black professionals on there, and we are all looking for insight. So I wanted, maybe you can hop on there one day and just kind of share, some knowledge real quick in the future. That would be
No, I would
awesome.
love to. I would love to.
Man, I'm telling you, they are great people, and it's just all about us making those organic networking connections with each other and seeing how we can barter with our different things and stuff like that. So,
With what you just said about the group, I want to say one thing. Uh, we could, like, when you go through our education, you meet people and you lose contact with people. I want to say this: randomly checking people on people off in a while because like you stay fresh in everybody's mind. Even if you just say, "Hey," like even you like, you don't gotta be you don't gotta if you know them on a personal level. You can just like, "Hey, bro, just checking on you, making sure you good."
right.
You stay fresh in people's mind all the time, and it's like because you're genuinely concerned about how they are, and you never know they might just be like, "Hey, um, you know, I was just thinking, I just ran into someone who's doing something like that's in your business field, and it can
Hmm.
help you. It can help you too. But I want to say, genuinely care about every contact that you meet or every person you meet, and it doesn't got to be creepy. You don't got to go baby be like, "Hey, you good, bros?" Because there's like literally, I messaged a friend of mine. I haven't. message in like 6, 7 years, and they just happen to be doing something in their city that someone literally asked me about 3 months ago, and they were
Mhm.
looking for somebody, like looking for someone in that city to do something other similar thing, and it's like, oh, I just say, hey, can I network y'all two together? And
Mhm.
now they like, and they all ran for a reply right now to do all of that. But like they can go off and build an empire, and it's just because and then they'll remember you like, hey, I appreciate you, whatever, and I got you for whatever you need. Oh, and I also know this: you never know who you meet that can be a influence on your future, and
Right.
how even like a simple hey, how you doing? Are you doing well? Like if they're struggling with their own business right now, they're an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, and I'm saying they're selling these pens. I'm
Okay.
using pens as an example still. And they are so they feel so defeated. That simple random text checking up on them, and if you are willing to like let them unload for a second, you're taking a burden off of them so much, and they they'll remember that, and if they can help you out in the future, they will.
That's
You
how
gotta
we met,
always
man.
you always gotta remember that. You
Yeah, that's how we met. You was checking on Tim.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I was me and him were hanging together. My
Right.
language. I couldn't think of the. We were at a friend's house together.
You were kicking
Uh,
it,
we were
right?
kicking it. We were kicking it on
at
Easter.
at the soiree. Yeah.
We were at a soiree watching Russell watching an event on television on Easter. No, no,
Right.
and like no, Tim has been my friend since we were in seventh grade. We met each
Right.
other in sixth grade. We weren't we knew each other. We weren't friends until seventh
Hmm.
grade. So and my mom calls him like her son also.
Okay.
That's how tight me and his bond is. Like he like I don't come home to Indiana that much, but he gets invites to my family reunion, and we're not related. So,
Right.
but that's my brother from another. So
Well, I wanted to bring up that point because everything we're talking about is about that because that's how I ran into you,
yeah,
right? We made that connection through Tim. So, man, if whenever you in town, you always got a place to stop by as well,
yeah,
man.
my
My
time
place,
was
man. I love to
so,
have you, man.
and my
You know,
time is getting less and less because I'm gonna say this. I'm getting older, so I began to. I used to try to go to everyone's home and visit,
right?
and now I'm like, hey, I'm at my mom's house. Yeah, when it come to me, just I'll be there all day. I'm not going anywhere. Just come through. And I say this unless you can't drive or you're disabled or you're a part of the
Right.
elders, because and I jokingly say it because I don't. The thing is, like I was so taught not to curse that
Uh-huh.
it's really 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 hard to get me to say a cuss word in general. So like I
You're
still
the opposite of me. It's really, really easy for me to say a curse word.
I I discovered a way because I never cussed in front of kids or elders. That's the way I was raised.
Same here.
And I said one cuss word in front of a child, and it wasn't even a bad cuss word. It was the HE double hockey sticks one. And after that, I started counting every
Mm,
cuss word that I was saying. So every time I said it, I would count it, and then I would try to get that number down to the lowest extent.
right.
And it was to the point where while I was asleep, I remember this. I woke up, but in
Uh-huh.
my sleep, I was counting them while I was sleeping. I was in my dream. My dream self was
Right.
counting them. But then it went from 247 to 186 to 24
247.
in a year.
You were cussing 247 times a day?
No, a year.
Oh, okay. I was
Two,
like,
four, 200,
whoa.
247 a year, then the
Okay.
168 in a year, then 24 in a year, to 5 in a year, and then I
Okay.
went. Then I went like 3 4 years without saying any cuss word.
Mm.
And
I had a
then,
question.
yeah,
I had to question myself because I started seeing like, why am I waking up cursing? Like I'm not even mad. Like it's just a good,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, it's such a good effing day, or
It's just it's like
like why am
you
I
can't
even saying it to
you can't think of the substitute word.
yeah.
And the thing is, like, I always feel that once you are able to find a good substitute or like another way to express yourself,
Okay.
it won't come out as much if you're in a professional setting because I can
You're
say
right.
you're like man, I got this bomb effing pen I want to sell you, and like I'll tell you why
Right.
this effing pen is great. You know this freaking pen can do this and this,
Mhm.
and you already cussed at me 3 times, and my mind is like, why this man cussing so much? You can say yes, a pen for you that lights up and throws out sparkles every
Yeah.
time you do a capital letter. And if you want to use the forbidden text that we don't use anymore, cursive, it helps guide you to write it better. It's like
Right.
okay, it's very professional. You're not using
You, you
foul
got
language.
you got me there. If only we could curse in all settings, I would be very happy. But
Yeah, that wasn't that wasn't the reason I quit. It was because I said a cuss word in front of a child,
right.
and I think it's weird too because people find out I don't curse and I go out my way of saying cuss words and they
Uh,
yell at me like just say this cuss, and I'm like no, there's so much better language to use sometimes. Like I might say like freak whatever or darn it or words
French
that
toast, the French toast, right?
the French like. No, I said Mike. It's weird too because when I used to say Mike Tyson when I wanted to say MFer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did ended up working with him, and I was
Okay.
telling someone I was working with him on the school, they thought I was saying. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like it just happened to be because I was doing that 3 4 years before I met him, so it was just like, oh, it's just a happy coincidence. So,
Well, Mike Tyson, man, his curse words are on a whole different
oh
level.
yeah,
When I heard him say, "I'll eat your children,"
but no, like honestly, he's like though I might not agree with all of his politics,
Mhm.
like speaking to him in person, he's a very interesting,
Yeah,
smart person,
I,
and like I got a lot from him,
I
and
picked that up too.
his wife is such a great human being. Because
Right.
I had more opportunity to speak to her during this event we were at than to him, and like she is she really got it together. So
He's got to be one of my favorite celebrities because he has such a dynamic range of character, right?
yeah,
He goes from fighting in a ring to having a coop of pigeons, to being like I've seen him in so many different like formats, man. It's incredible. And his intelligence is really off the charts when you really just sit back and listen to the profound things that he says. He almost talks in a philosophical way, and I appreciate that about him. And he's able to be himself in all settings, and I think that's something that I always strive to be. I know it's some ranges that I can't go out of, but for the most part, I try to get that all into something in the center so that I'm not having to be so different from one place to the next. And I always have appreciated that about Mike Tyson, man. He's an incredible person. I'm so glad you got to meet him, man. That is such a unique opportunity and work with him. That's incredible, dude.
via what you just said, I want to say one thing, and you hit on this earlier when you were talking about no one wants to be a nerd. Own your de-stress
Mm,
because like if you feel that you're going to be judged for unless it's illegal, but own what distresses you. For me, I play a video game that is probably really stressful in general, but it clears my mind and it brings me down from being overly stressed out. And it like if you don't find what can bring you down,
mhm,
some people their distress is playing with their children, spending time with because so many people out here don't do that at all, and they
mhm,
alienate their own thrill, their own distress and they don't find what can bring it down because that will lead to depression and that will lead to hindrance in your own work. Own your distressor and use it to bring yourself down to your happy medium before you go forward. Even if it's just an hour a day, 2 hours a day. And if you can't find something that can make you happy, don't be afraid to get a therapist and just vent to someone for an hour who won't say nothing to anybody and just unload and get it all out just so you can have that de-stressor and it's not too much weighing on you. Even though I know starting a business is very hard. It is very stressful. It is very it is so much work that goes into it that you can't find something to just bring it down,
Wow.
to relax you. You're not gonna make it.
What's your
And
video game?
play League of Legends.
Oh, okay. I'm Call of Duty. That's why I was just
Yeah.
curious, man. It was on my brain. I love Call of Duty.
I can't FPS. I used to be able to back in the GoldenEye era, but I
Okay.
cannot FPS anymore. Like I play League of Legends. I'm really good. Like last I looked, if you go on like this website called op.gt, you
Okay.
put my username in. Last I looked in the USA, well in the NA area, I was in the top. I look right now. Right now, I am in the top 6.01% top of everybody in the NA area. So I'm
Man,
in
you just
top.
good at everything.
No, no, no. I just have a lot of stress sometimes,
I got you.
and I
I got you, brother.
know like I just go to something that
Mhm.
levels me out, and then I go back to work. And sometimes I'm
Right.
doing them at the same time. Like I play a game, I handle all the business I need to handle, and then I might play another one. I don't overly do it, but I make sure that I de-stress. I bring myself down. So I'm like,
Right.
and
Man.
then I know, yeah, and then just micromanage your time because as
Mhm.
I say again, it is a lot more hours starting your own stuff. So if you spend 17 hours in a day launching your business, okay, you have that's 6 hours, that's 7 hours of sleep. Okay. And that's 17 hours. An hour for lunch, an hour for dinner. Take at least a 30 minute 30 to 45 minute relaxation
Right.
twice. Twice within that day. Just so it is so much it's like because you can only look at a document so many times before it starts repeating itself.
Mhm.
You know, take like look at it like that. This is and then once you achieve and your business is going, treat it like a business. Treat yourself like you want your employees you want your employees to work. Because these millionaires out here, they just tell others what to do now and they look at the numbers. And if the numbers don't match, that's when they go in action in order to make
Mhm.
sure the numbers match. You know,
Okay.
and understand where each thing is coming from. Like if you make a pen, if the pen is made completely in USA, you don't gotta worry about other charges coming from elsewhere. If
Mhm.
the other charges are coming from elsewhere, you gotta micromanage what you can make, what is best needed to make a profit, and how you can do that, and where you should be selling your pen at, for example. So
Okay.
and if it's aimed at a certain demographic, you have to understand your demographic. Bring in people of that demographic. Don't be afraid to put out there, hey, I'm looking for a test group. What
Mhm.
do your demographic wants? And don't just look at one demographic if a demographic doesn't matter. Don't bring in 20 people of our color and then think that the same thing that they want is going to appeal to 20 people of other ethnicity, whatever. Because it's not going to always hit. So
Man. That's a great point, man. You know, it's been a fascinating conversation. I've enjoyed every moment of it. I feel like we could do this for a very long time. And I hope that, you know, maybe in the future, man, we can have you back on the show. But if someone wanted to look at your material or they wanted to reach out and connect with you, how could they do that?
Okay, if you want to reach me directly, it is ed, as an
Okay.
ed, at mylifemypower.org. And if you want to see all that I do, ML, I'm sorry, M as in Mary, L. I'm gonna throw myself off if I try to
Just
spell
send, if
it.
you
Okay,
just send it to me, I'm
M
gonna throw it up there for
M
people.
MLMPI.org is the school. TTA TTA edu.org is the transformational technologies, and then mylifemypower.org is the charity.
Okay, I'm gonna
And
have you send that to me.
if you want to see listen to the podcast that I work with, that my business partner is the main voice on, it's called Significant to Breed Success, and we bring in different individuals of high regards from and I'm gonna name drop for a second, so please don't judge me. Um, from the people who wrote the book something of the soul. So all the of soul books, um, Rich Dad Poor Dad writer, and then we even had oh my God, his name just left my brain. The motivational speaker, the black guy. Ah,
Is it the Navy
mm,
SEAL dude?
yeah, probably. He's older. He's older. He's a black motivational speaker. He has the same notoriety sometimes as Tony Robbins. Can't think of his name right now, but he's been on there and other positive, influential individuals in order to make you understand that in order to be successful, you have to always show your significance to everybody. And the significance that you have is going to grow onto everybody once you show them what you are and who you are in order for all like you to be successful and for
Mhm.
them to be successful with you. So significance breeds success.
Okay. Well, that's what we got for tonight. I really appreciate all of the viewers who are checking this out. If you want to get in contact with me, also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, all you have to do is reach out to clb.geneva@gmail.com. You can reach me. My name is Shay. I am more than willing to have you on the show as a guest. We want to hear how the interesting stories you have. We want to hear your background. We want to hear what you're doing out in the world. It's really important. Let's keep this thing moving. All right, this is Club Geneva, and I want you all to have a wonderful, safe night. Take care.